Hello, everyone. I am Kevin Collins, the Digital Services Librarian for the Genesee District Library, and today we're going to be talking about cryptic crosswords. But before I begin, I want to mention that programs, both digital and in person, are all available in our program guide, the 19, available at any of our branches. You'll find the fall program guide in the branches. And if you go online right now, all the winter programs are up. So you can put in for any of the programs this winter. And then coming up later this month, virtually with me, we will be doing the Ancestry trifecta. We'll have a guest coming in and talking about Ancestry, Fold 3, newspapers, and help you get started on your genealogical research. Now, what are cryptic crosswords? They follow a lot of the same rules as regular crosswords, but the clues are written quite differently. So let me pull up the clue I gave in the example for the video. Surprise at temperature within star, 4 letters. Each cryptic clue is built of a definition and wordplay. So for this one, we'll highlight over here. The definition of this clue is surprise. So whatever the answer will be will mean surprise. And then this section over here is the wordplay. Temperature within star. So we can think of the star in our solar system, the sun, and we can stick T for temperature within the sun, within sun, and we get stun, which is if you're surprised, you're stunned, and that is the answer. Now, today we're going to be doing 2 crossword puzzles through the Guardian's website. They have a number of different crosswords they publish. Quick Cryptic, is the easiest crossword, cryptic crossword. Then the Quiptic, and then the Cryptic is the hardest. So we will start with the quick Cryptic, a little bit of a tongue twister. I will send the link to this puzzle in the chat. So you could play along if you'd like, try to speed ahead of me, and just have fun. Now for the quick Cryptic, they only use 4 different types of clues per puzzle, and those change depending on the puzzle each week. So we're going to be looking at anagrams, which the wordplay is going to tell you to anagram another word, and that'll make the definition. For example, senator arranged is the wordplay. We're going to arrange the letters in the word senator, and that will make a crime. So if you mix around the letters in senator, it makes treason. There's also hidden word, where the answer is hidden in the wordplay words. So for this one, we have a definition of meat, and within the phrase, some have altered, you can find the word veal, which is the definition. Sound alike, something that sounds like the answer. So for excited is the definition. And Oscars announced is the wordplay. So not quite sure how this one works, which is normal for cryptic crosswords. Sometimes you know the definition and can't quite work out the wordplay. But a word that sounds like wild means Oscar, and when it says announced, you're going to reword it, respell it to fit the other definition. And then decapitation. Yeah, it's going to be the wordplay is going to mean a word, and it'll say something like without intro. So a story is a tale without intro. If we cut off that first letter, we get ale, which is a type of beer. All right. So let's dig into the crossword proper. So first clue, make money when location of ashes is announced. Now, I mentioned every clue has definition and wordplay. Usually the definition is at the very beginning of the clue or the very end. So when we looked earlier, announced kind of tells us that it's a sound alike. So we can say the definition is probably make or make money. And then, so the wordplay, when location of ashes is announced. Where would you find ashes? If you cremate someone inside an urn, and if you spell that differently, you get earn as in make money. Let's start with this work from this corner and go outward. Bigoted row ran amok. So amok here kind of signals that it's an anagram. The letters of the words row and ran are going to run amok. They're going to mix up and make a word that means bigoted. In this case, narrow. If you're bigoted, narrow-minded, kind of similar thing. We can jump down to two down. N as the second letter. It's interesting. Black from a leaky pen covering tip of little finger. This is one. I could look at the letter we have, and the definition from a leaky pen makes me think inky. Black. So black from a leaky pen, that's when the ink is leaking out. That means it's inky. And the rest of the clue is wordplay. Covering tip of little finger. Your little finger is your pinky. Covering the tip, the first letter, you get inky. Let's jump over to back to the across clues. 8 o'clock cross. By the sound of it, Mark got visibly old. So, unlike our previous ones where the definition was at the beginning, the definition for this one is at the end. So the definition here, got visibly old, and by the sound of it means we're looking for a word for mark that can also be spelled differently to make visibly old. And if you get a mark in school, you get a grade. And when you're visibly old, it means that you have grade. Keep in mind, the Guardian and most publications that put out the cryptic crosswords are British publications. So you may need to adjust the spelling a little bit. So instead of grade with an A, I put in grade with an E. All right. Keep going down. Also, if you're following along and listening and get the answer ahead of me, feel free to put it in the chat. And yeah. Saw a ship partially flooded. So we're looking at flooded as the definition. And partially means we're going to take some of the letters from saw a ship to get to the answer. Since we have the W already, we can kind of work around that and get a wash, which means flooded. All right. 11 down. Funny show nails it completely when some characters canceled. All right, a long clue, but not a difficult one. This is another hidden one where the answer is going to be found somewhere within the letters of the wordplay. So we're looking for a funny show, and if we take the phrase nails it completely and have some of the characters canceled, some of them removed, we'll find the word sitcom within. Jump over 15 across. Taking tip off race course character from Edinburgh. Now, a trick I was recommended when reading these, and I'm trying to do it in my verbose. Don't read it like a normal sentence. Try to read it like one word at a time, and that'll help you kind of separate the definition from the wordplay. Normally, you would say racecourse character as one phrase, but that's actually where the line is. The definition is character from Edinburgh. The wordplay is taking the tip off racecourse, so a racecourse with the first letter removed, and you're going to get a character from Edinburgh. This one, I had the definition: a Scot, someone Scottish, is a character from Edinburgh. But I had to look up a famous race course in the UK is Ascot. It's not just the necktie that Freddy wears in Scooby Doo. So even there'll be some clues where, being from the United States, we won't have all the common knowledge that writers expect, but you can still kind of work around it, get up letters from other clues, and often can figure it out. All right. Here, murderer, get stick. Word here means it's going to be a sound alike. So we're looking for a word for murderer that you can change around and get a word for stick. Biblical information is often found in the cryptic crosswords. So a famous murderer from Genesis, Cain, and we can mix the letters around and get a cane, a type of stick. We jump to 19 across. Claims no Ozempic suppresses sleep. All right. So definition here is going to be sleep, and suppresses hints that it is a hidden clue. So if we can find a word for sleep within claims no Ozempic, we'll get the answer. And that just happens to be snooze. I'll hit 14 down. Sense corrupted city in Germany. Now, definition here is going to be city in Germany, and the wordplay is sense corrupted. Couple tricks for the anagrams I'll go over right now. Corrupted usually is an anagram indicator, and then you can look at the length of the answer. So it's going to have 5. So it wouldn't make sense for sense to be the definition, because the city in Germany we can't really reduce to 5 letters. So in this case, the definition is Essen. I apologize for my pronunciation if it's incorrect, but that is the answer. And then if we look across, 17 across, group inside. Okay, that sounds like wordplay. That sounds like it's going to be a hidden clue. The answer is going to be inside the next following words. So proposes a far international, and then hunt for wild animals is the definition. So if we look inside, proposes a far international, which is a weird phrase, but it does contain the letters for safari, which is a hunt for wild animals. We jump to 18 down. Ticket price is reasonable for the audience. Audience, kind of for the audience, kind of like announced, signals a sound alike. So we're looking for a word that means both, that can mean both reasonable and ticket price spelled differently. And we're looking for the word fare. Something is fair, or you pay a ticket fare to ride the train or ride a boat. All right, 20 across. Regretted, being rude, out of order. Out of order, nice phrase to say anagram, the letters of rude. And we're looking for a word that means regretted. Now, the Guardian has this great feature called the anagram helper here. If you click that, you can type in the letters that you're going to anagram, and it'll mix them up for you. And kind of helps if you can't figure out the anagram yourself. You just need a little bit of hint, guidance, a small hint. You can shuffle it. It also includes any letters you've gotten from other clues. An extremely valuable tool when dealing with large anagrams. In this case, though, 4 letter, it's going to be rude, as in you'll rue the day. We jump over to 13 down. Carried red cat all over the place. All over the place, another anagram indicator. So let's mix up the letters of red and cat to make a word that means carried. If you carried something around, you also carted something around. All right. 12 across. Get to give a sermon after leaders kicked out. Okay. The definition here is going to be get to. And we're going to find a word for giving a sermon. And we're going to kick the leader out. We're going to get rid of the first letter. So if you're giving a sermon, you will preach. And if we kick out that first letter, we get reach. And if you get to someone, you reach them. Let's see. We'll jump to 3 down. Requires massages orally. So orally, another sound alike indicator. So we're looking for a word that means both requires and massages. Requires is going to be the one we put in, and that word will be needs. So if you required something, you need it. And a massage, you need it with a K. Need, like my cat likes to need the blanket, or if you're working with dough and baking, you need it. All right. Rascals forgetting initial mistakes. We're going to separate this after the word initial. So we're looking at a word for rascals that we're going to get rid of the first letter of and come up with a word for mistakes. So rascals, sometimes called little terrors. And if we get rid of the first word of terror, the first letter of terrors, we get errors, which are mistakes. 4 down. Wake up and have a loud drinking session topless. This is one I had the definition. I had to look it up to see how the wordplay worked. The definition is wake up. And then the wordplay is we're looking for a word that means a loud drinking session, and we're going to remove the first letter. So from the letters we were given, we can come up with arouse for the definition. And the wordplay, a word I hadn't heard before doing this crossword, carouse is a loud drinking session, and you take off the C. 9 across, extract from powerful narwhal bone. So bone is going to be the definition, and extract from is we're going to take some of the letters out of powerful narwhal, so it's a hidden clue, and it's going to result in a bone. Now, nice thing about having a letter already is you can pick it out easier. This is your ulna, and I believe it is an arm bone, might be a leg bone. I have a 50-50 chance on this, but let me know if I was right. And then our final clue, country, rain, storms. And this storms means we're going to anagram the letters of rain, and it's going to make a country. So in this case, it turns out to be Iran. Now, we can hit underneath my video. Let me. And let me. I also included the next ones, which we should have time to get through. This one's going to be a bit tougher. They don't. They could use any of the possible clue types. The clues are a bit more complicated, and the words a bit more difficult. So let's jump right in. Before I begin, any questions about cryptic crosswords or how they work or anything you have questions about? I'll be happy to answer before we jump into this next puzzle. All right, I'm not seeing anything, so we'll go ahead. I've just put the link for this puzzle inside the Facebook and YouTube chats. So feel free to snag that, play along if you wish. If you come up with any clues before I do, feel free to put them in the chat. Put your guesses and thoughts, and we'll see how we do. All right. One across. Put silver in vessels for heathens. So heathens is going to be the definition here. And when you put a word for silver or an abbreviation for silver inside a word for vessels. So if you go back to high school chemistry, the periodic table, silver is Ag. And we're going to put that in the word pans. You know, vessels, if you're baking something, your pan is your vessel for whatever you're baking. And if we put Ag inside of pans, we get pagans, which is another word for heathens. All right. If we look at one down, agent upset by 1,000 as bonus. So in the last puzzle, anagram, when you had to anagram something, that was all of the wordplay. In the Cryptic, it could just be part of the wordplay. So definition here is bonus. An agent is a rep. If we upset it, if we upset the word rep and move the letters around, we get per, and by 1,000, which is K, a grand, we get perk, which is a type of bonus. I'm looking at 2 down. Vessel, volume, written across bottom of base. Definition here is going to be a vessel, and we're going to have volume. That's going to be written across, written around the bottom of base, bottom or last letter of base. So it's going to be a word for volume with E in it. And if you buy milk, a gallon is a volume. So that's just a measurement. We stick the bottom of base, E in there, we get galleon, which is a type of ship. All right, 3 down. Declared info edit mistakenly. All right, mistakenly. That means anagram. So we're going to find 8 letters, info, edit. So we're going to mix those letters around and come up with a word that means declared. In this case, it will be notified. If you notify somebody of something, you declare that something is happening. Trying to explain some of the definitions from the clues. It gets really stretched. It sounds kind of nonsense, but there's always some logic to it. We got a lot of the across, so we should be able to get 9. Report about dead. So short clue, which ironically can be some of the toughest to determine what are the wordplay, what's the definition. The definition here is report. And then if someone is dead, it can be referred to as late, the late victim. And then RE can actually mean about. And if we put that together, we get relate, which can mean report. If I report something to you, I can relate information to you. So same kind of thing. 11 is a long one. Let's see. Policeman frets about egotism. 2. So let me count some letters. 9, 5, that makes 14. So we are going to anagram the words policeman frets. And we're going to get a word that means egotism. And actually, I spelled galleon wrong. So let me fix that first. So if we're looking blank E, blank F, probably self. Those letters are within policeman frets. And if we look at what's left, we get importance, which self-importance, egotism means the same thing. Let's jump over to 4 across. That'll give us a bunch of nice starting letters and make the down clues there a lot easier. Joker, retaining European system, regularly getting fondled. So this has a new clue type, word regularly. That's going to mean we take every other letter out of a word or phrase. So in this case, getting fondled is the definition. A joker is a card, and that's going to retain or hold European, and then the regular letters of system, so SSE, to get caressed. Bit of a complicated clue, but when you get to the more difficult puzzles, more of the clues are of that type. All right. Paid choirs off with a stimulant. So this one is an anagram, but unlike the other anagrams, not everything is grouped together in the clue. So in this case, paid choirs are off. They're kind of funny. They're anagram. And that's going to be with the letter A. And if you add that up, that makes 11 letters. And a stimulant is an aphrodisiac, named for the Greek goddess Aphrodite, I believe. Let's move on to 6 down. Fake emerald ring sold as turquoise zirconia originally. This is another type of clue. I call it first letters. I'm not sure what the official term is, but originally means you're going to be looking at the original, the first letter from each word in the clue to get the answer. So the definition is going to be fake, and we're going to take the first letters of emerald, ring, sold as turquoise, zirconia, which gets us ersatz, which means fake. We're going to bump over here, 7 down. Nieces upset about constant physics. All right. So upset sounds like an anagram indicator. So we're going to anagram nieces, and about constant, a constant like c, which I believe is the constant for speed of light, and E equals mc squared. So we're going to take c and nieces, mix the letters up together, and we're going to get science, which physics is a type of science. You'll see this clue ends in a question mark, and question marks are complicated. Sometimes they mean an example of, like in this clue, physics is an example of a science. Sometimes it means the whole clue is wordplay, and the whole clue is also the definition. I don't believe we have any of those here, but I want to give you a heads up in case you tackle any cryptic crosswords yourself. All right. We hear smart cat weed. All right. This one is a sound alike. We hear. So we smart cat, and we're going to kind of a phrase that sounds the same, meaning smart cat and also a weed. Something smart, it can be called dandy, and a cat is a lion. So we get a dandelion. All right. Article, spread covering one performer. All right. Oh, another word I've spelled wrong. So, performer, it's going to be the definition here. And we're going to need to look at English class this time. An article is a word like a, an, or the. And if something spreads, could be a span, like a wingspan is when a bird spreads its wings. So we're going to do that. And we're going to cover it around I for one, the Roman numeral for one. And that's going to get a thespian, a performer. Now, something when you're starting out with these that I like to do, I still do when I'm solving them. It's this function called check word, and that helps you see if you made any spelling mistakes. If you have part of the word play right, it'll keep that, and that'll kind of help you narrow down what you still need to work on. powerful, extremely useful tool. Okay. Cut, sore, hip, area. Sounds like a lot of nonsense. But let's see. Cut is the definition. Sore. What's a word for sore that you often think of? If you're sore, you're kind of tender. And then your hip area is your loins or loin. And a tenderloin is a cut of meat. Snowman is even icier at first. So, kind of work backwards here. Icier at first. That's going to be the first letter of icier, I, which we have. So that means snowman is probably the definition. And we're looking for a word that means it's the same thing as even, that fits there, and that's going to be yet. And when we put that in, we get Yeti, the abominable snowman. Let's see. Tickle, bird, getting sick and annoyed. Now, this is one you first look at it. It's not immediately apparent where the definition is. Could it be annoyed is the definition, and you tickle the letters of bird along with a word that means getting sick? Or could tickle be the definition? And in that case, this clue, that is the case. So, a bird, a tit, is a type of bird. If you are sick, you are ill. And if you're annoyed, that means something's eating at you. Annoyed, past tense, ate. And titillate means to tickle. All right, 16 across. Make disappointing noise encountering uniform. Skirt that short. Uniform can be abbreviated to U. Skirt that short is the definition. So if we're going to make a disapproving noise, we're going to tut. And if we add U for uniform, we get a tutu, which is a skirt. I guess it's short. I didn't think it was shorter than any other skirt, but there it is. 17 down. Skill granted after time to make little pastry. Little pastry is going to be the definition here. So we're looking for a word for skill. And we're going to put that after time. So art is a skill. After time, that makes tart. And if you grant something to someone, you let them do something. So skill granted, art lit, after T for time, makes a little pastry a tartlet. 21 across. Minister in cold hall corner shivering. Shivering, another anagram indicator. People I have introduced this to often complain that it seems like any word could be an anagram indicator, and there is, to be honest, a wide variety of them. Anything that sounds like it's going to shake up letters or mix up letters can be an anagram indicator. So if we shiver, if we mix up the word letters in cold, hall, and corner, we're going to get a minister. Well, based on the letters we have now, it is probably some type of lord. And let's play around with the anagram helper here. Cold hall corner. And you can see it the letters we don't know. And eventually, through shuffling, it'll click for us, and we'll get the word Chancellor. Lord Chancellor is, I assume, a minister in the UK. All right. Everyone, the Spanish united, beginning to intone a song of praise. So, song of praise is the definition here. And we're going to start with everyone. That is all. The Spanish. So, we're going to take the Spanish word for the, which is el. United, beginning, is you. No, united is you. Beginning to intone is I. And then a. And a Alleluia is a song of praise. I guess kind of like hallelujah. A lot of times you'll figure out either the definition or the wordplay. The other side won't make complete sense, but you just have to kind of run with it and go forward. All right. 12 down. Claim ritual involved embracing people of all origins. So, in this one, people of all origins is going to be your definition. And we're going to, the words claim ritual involved embracing, hugging them, pushing them together into one word, making a word for people of all origins. And if you look, you can find the letters to multiracial, I believe. And that's going to be the definition. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We have some clues down here, and we're going to cut off the top of the puzzle, but we've solved those clues already. Completely new exhaust after rear of vehicle loudly evacuated. All right, so quite a bit going on here. New exhaust. So N you can put for new. It's an abbreviation for new. You exhaust of something, you tire of something. So N, tire. And we put that after the rear of vehicle, the last letter of vehicle, which is E. So we're going to get entire. Now, loudly evacuated. So this is another weird one. You're going to evacuate the letters in the word loudly. So anything in the middle is going to be evacuated, leaving just L and Y. And that makes entirely, which means completely. We'll hit 20 down. Clears revolting instrument for removing tartar. Revolting, another one of those anagram indicators. So we're going to mix up the letters in the word clears, and we're getting an instrument for removing tartar. And if you've listened to your dental hygienist in a dentist appointment, you'll have heard of the word scaler. And that's going to be our instrument for removing tartar. All right, 18A crossed. Left copy showing lack of talent. So definition here is going to be lack of talent. And we're going to be looking at the left copy as the wordplay. Left, abbreviated to L, kind of like right is R. And then a copy of something is an imitation. So, and then lack of talent, they're defining as a limitation. I don't fully agree, but it is what it is. All right. Infallible, fellow having trouble with vault. So, definition here is infallible. And let's look at the wordplay. A fellow can be abbreviated to F. If you're having trouble, you ail. If you have a sickness, you have an ailment. And then a vault is another word for safe. And then a fail safe is something that's infallible. It cannot mess up. Let's jump over to 24 across. Piece of radical iconoclastic material. So this is one of our hidden clues again. So we're going to take a piece of radical iconoclastic. We're going to get a word that means material. And in this case, we have an A. So if we look around where this A is at, we get calico. All right, jumping down to 26 across. Tightly packs shoes. This is a double definition. So both the wordplay is just the definition and the definition part is the definition. So a word that means tightly packs and a word that means shoes. So in this case, that answer is going to be wedges. Wedges are types of shoes. And if you tightly pack something, you wedge it in there. 22 down. Leader with unpleasant odor starts to smell sweeter. Kind of a funny clue. So definition here is going to be leader. An unpleasant odor. Yeah, it will be BO, body odor. And then what are the starts to smell sweeter? What are the first letters? They are S and S. And that makes boss. Now, I'm ending with this clue. Domestic chore I call about in advance. The definition is domestic chore. And looking at the clues, we can probably guess it is ironing. Now, how does the wordplay work? And I'll be completely honest with you, I don't completely know. So I, in I call, that'll be up here. Call, if you call someone, you ring someone. And then about in advance. I don't quite know how that gets on in the middle of ring, unfortunately. But this shows if you can get the definition part, even if you can't work out how the wordplay works, you can still get the clue. And that is our Cryptic crossword, the second crossword we'll be doing today. I hope you've enjoyed these. They are both types of puzzles are available on the Guardian's website, theguardian.com. They're free. And there's a new puzzle each week. There is also a website out there, Minute Cryptic. And this will give you one clue per day. So today's clue, Location Housing Administration's leader. And the really cool thing about this website is you can get some hints. So you can have it show you which part of the clue is the definition. Is it leader? Is it location? So we click that. It tells you, oh, the whole clue is both wordplay and definition. And you can see indicators. and that will tell you how the wordplay works. So it says housing and leader. So a word for location is going to house the leading letter of administration A, and that is going to come up with our word. Unlike the previous two puzzles, I did not look at this one beforehand. So let's have any suggestions, any guesses, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll try to solve it together. And then you can also show letter, and that will give you a letter in the clue. And you'll see this light moves on with every hint or every letter you get. Par is how many people on average, how many clues or hints they need to solve the puzzle, or incorrect answers. So clicking a few letters, PLC, now it's come to me. A place is a location, and if we stick the leader from administration in, we get palace. And we check it, and we're two over par, but that is fine. So those are cryptic crosswords. I'll stay on for a little bit. I'll try to answer any questions, any thoughts anyone has. I hope you've enjoyed this program, and I hope you give these puzzles a try in the future. They're a lot of fun. They get easier the more you do them, the more you get used to the weird clue types and the wording, the phrasing that they use in clue descriptions. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, so I will wish everyone a wonderful evening. Thank you for coming to the program, and I hope to see you at our next virtual program where we cover resources for genealogy and ancestry. Have a wonderful night.